Welcome back for another video. We look at SQL, we look at the configuration manager installation, we tested, we validated that configuration manager have been installed properly, and now it's time for us to learn a little bit about configuration manager console, because let's face, doesn't matter if the configuration manager is installed, if you don't know how to use the configuration manager console, majority of your time will be in the configuration manager console. And if you don't know how to use, it will be a difficult task. Before we look at the configuration manager console, we need to know why we need the configuration manager console. So there are two areas here the configuration manager console does. One is the UI. The second one is the PowerShell. So we cannot have the PowerShell without configuration, or the PowerShell modules for configuration manager without the configuration manager console. At the same time, you cannot have the configuration manager console if you don't install the configuration manager console. And the configuration manager console can be installed in any machine. So if I bring the documentation, you can see here on this install the configuration manager console. We have all the pre-requirements. In terms of the OS version supported, almost every single version of the OS that's currently supported by Microsoft is supported on the configuration manager console. So there is not difficult for that. But you can actually open this link here, and you can see here all the OSs that are supported in the configuration manager console. So we can see here Windows 8.1, Windows 10, Windows 11, and from server to 2012 up to right now 2022, as if we are using 2107. We are using Windows 2019 that's supported. Also, we are using our clients Windows 10 and Windows 11, and of course is also support. And you can see here is Pro and Enterprise. If you have Windows 10 Home, yes, I'm so sorry. You should not be even be trying to install configuration manager console in your machine, but only the versions of Windows 10 that is supported by Microsoft. And to install the configuration manager console, we actually install this before on the server, quite easy. But if you want to install elsewhere, you just need to, maybe upgrade .NET. So you can see here the requirements for .NET. That's at least 4.6.2. I would recommend, like Microsoft says, 4.8. And with Windows Server, I think 2016 or 2019, you already have .NET 4.7, so 4.7.2, I guess. So you're already with a supported version of .NET. If not, just upgrade to the latest version. Also, on the site server, what we did, we use actually the configuration manager installation. But if you're going to put this in a remote server or a remote workstation, you don't want to copy all this few gig. I think it's about 1.5 gig. So you can actually copy a couple of files, actually 4 files, and then use the console setup to actually install the configuration manager. And don't use the admin console MSI because it's not supported, but you can just copy those and send to the person, or use this to install. Later on, we are going to look at configuration manager applications and so on. Then you actually can use configuration manager to install the configuration manager console for you. And the setup is quite simple, just a few parameters in the command line. So you can see here the console setup command line options. And you can see here quite a few options. And there are a couple of examples here that you can actually use to install with any language, and also to uninstall if required. But that's it for the installation. We're not here to install the configuration manager console as yet in a remote machine. We're here to learn about the configuration manager console. And in this other documentation, how to use configuration manager console, it does explain a lot, everything about configuration manager console that you need to know. Of course, we are not going into every single details because configuration manager console is really big beast. So, But there are a couple of things, and let me bring here the configuration manager server that we already have the configuration manager console installed. So the first thing I'm going to do is open. So every time you install configuration manager console, there's going to be Microsoft Endpoint Manager, and we have here configuration manager console. I'm going to click here. Just ignore the icon that my server here is kind of a little bit broke in terms of the icons. But you can see as soon as I click, the correct icon came here at the bottom. While it's opening, just don't forget to like this video, share with your friends and co-workers so everyone start learning more about Configuration Manager. And of course, if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel, click that little bell icon so you'll be notified every time we upload new content. And most important, if you have questions, if you have comments, leave in the comment section below. And if you're asking questions, remember to use the hashtag #AskRaphael so it's easy for me to find. Okay, so Configuration Manager console has just opened. From time to time it takes time, so it depends on your speed of your computer as well. It could take longer or not. Again, depends on the speed of the Configuration Manager server and the console. But the first thing you need to look at when you open the console, and I'm going to talk about everything on the left side bottom. We can see here there are some workspaces. Those assets and compliance, software library, monitoring, administration, and community, we call workspaces. And this is where Configuration Manager is split between what's showing to you, what you can do in terms of the Configuration Manager console. So the assets and compliance workspace has some nodes, and this area here that's showing you here are called nodes. The nodes are different between every single workspace. Software library, you can see here different nodes, monitoring, different nodes, and so on and so forth. I'm going to talk about the workspaces, what each workspace is a little bit later, but just thinking there are workspaces and each workspace has different nodes. Also, you don't need to have the workspace here. You can actually reduce the number of icons. And on this area here in the middle, top, actually the second row on the top, is kind of the Windows Explorer. You can click on the arrows and kind of a navigation as well. So you can easily move from one workspace to another, or from one area of that workspace to another. So you can see here that basically almost everything I'm seeing here, I can actually see here on the top. And you can actually minimize. It's like we have with Outlook. So we have now the workspace, the node, this search, not search bar, but location bar. And I'm going now to click device collection so I can actually show you more things. And on the right hand side, this whole area here is called details pane. This one that we are looking at now is a list view. But now if I move to a, for example, software library, Windows 10 servicing, you can see that details pane changed, and this one is a dashboard layout. So we can have multiple types of details pane. And this detail pane, that's a list view, we can have a search bar on the top, and we have some objects or list of objects here on the bottom, and we have here a column. And for every single object, we could have a sub-details area. So the sub-details area could contain more information and also more tabs here on the bottom. Again, it depends on what we are looking at. If I go here, for example, devices, I may have more tabs here at the bottom. Okay, so let me go back here to the device collections. And before I actually talk about the search and the columns, so every time you right click, in any object, you have all those right-click options. And those right-click options are the same as on the top here in the ribbon. So you can see here, I have an object selected here or here, and I have some type of options here. So if I right-click, for example, collection here, you can see create collection, import, manage, and folder. If I click the object itself, you can see here I have show members and so on. And you can see here, just click show members and almost every single option on the right click. If I unselect the object, you can see here, now that extra part that was for the object itself is gone. Also, you can see here I have some folders or ribbon folders on the top. And if I right click here, you can see here folder is exactly the same options I'm going to have here on the folder. It doesn't mean that every single node will have a folder, okay? They will have different options. If I go quickly here in the administration and sites, you can see here I don't have the folder option. I have here sites, I have here settings. It's exactly the same options I'm going to have here on the right click. Okay, so if I change the size of my screen, you can see here those objects will start to be on their specific group. Let me just minimize it even more. Yeah, you can see here now I have, instead of a group settings, I have kind of a object drop-down style with the other options. Let me expand this again. Maximize, you can see here now I have the group expanded. So the ribbon will adjust depends on the size of your screen. So let me go back here now to the list view. On the list view, I can have here the search on the top. And the search is quite simple. I type something and it will search. In this case, I will type all systems because what I want to see is the collection with the name all systems. And I will press enter or I click here search. When I click search, Configuration Manager brought me so many collections that like, no, I'm not actually searching for all systems, everything, because this one is easily not called all systems, all provisioning device. But when you just type on the top, Configuration Manager try to search for anything that has all system. In this case, you can see here, limiting collection is all system. The name is all system, so it's just search for those things as well. So if I want to clear the filter, I just click on the red X here and then remove the filter. So if I want to be more specific on my filter, I can add some criteria. So I want to, in this case, have the name. So I'm going to select the name and click add. So you can see here now I have a filter that the name and I have options. Contain, does not contain, start with. In this case, let's use equal and equals all systems. And I will press enter or click here on search. You can see now my filter is smaller because I'm looking for a specific thing at all systems. I can actually remove this name here, just click on this small red X. If I want to clear the whole filter, is just click on the top red X. And if I want to refresh the whole screen, I can actually click here on this refresh device collections. Sometimes it doesn't work, I just click in another object and then it does work. But you can see how easy it and simple is to filter. The other thing you can do is right click the columns and you can add more columns. In this case, I will add collection ID. And you can see here easily added some extra columns. And I can actually resize all the columns and move the columns to the position I want. And of course, if there is something there, for example, collection ID, I don't want, I can right click and just click on the collection ID and the will disappear, just being removed. Also, I can sort, just click here on the column I want to sort by. And I can also group by. Again, everything that I'm showing you here should be familiar to you if you're already using Outlook. So if I right click, go group by, I have then the option to group by the columns that is being seen here on the top. In this case, I'm going to put for limiting collection. And you can see here it's split between the options. So I have one that's all system that's not being limited by anything, and I have 4 that's limited by all system. I can actually close or expand as required. If I want to remove the filter, and I can still filter by this as well. If I want to remove the group, just right click the column on the top, group by, and I sort, click on none. And now it's going to remove the column. And those nodes that we are looking right now, they are static nodes. What I mean by that is they are always there. They will never change. But we have dynamic nodes as well. So let me just show you on the collection, but this also could be seen in other places as well. So I'm going to right click here and show members. You can see here under device, it creates a new node. Let me do this with other 2. And those, like I said to you, they are a dynamic nodes. If I close the console and reopen the console, they will disappear. But from time to time, you're going to use this every day. You're going to have so many nodes. Sometimes you want to just like, I just want to close all, or close one, or close everything, every other. And in every single one of those nodes, you can right click and you have this option, close. I can close this specific node. I can close all nodes, or I can close everything else except this one. So it's quite simple to use them. I'm going to just use this, close this node. You can see will disappear from there. I'm going to select this one. And one thing I want to show you is the ribbon here on the top. You can see here that added a collection and added the option to close as well. So all the right click tools will be there. In this case here, I'm going to right click, close all nodes, and now you can see here everything disappeared. And the last thing I want to show you is on the sub-details page here, we have lots of details about that object. We could have, in this case, we do have some tabs underneath that will have more information. But we have a related objects information. As soon as we click, it will take us to that specific object elsewhere. So in this case, I will click on the full evaluation queue. And you can see it took me to the monitoring node. If I scroll down a little bit here, you can see here, under full evaluation, you create a dynamic node, and that is present me with some information. In this case, this information is empty. But again, this is dynamic node. I can actually close like we did before. And you can see here on the location area that it also changed. On the location area, I can actually use the back. So it takes me back where I was. And finally, the last one I want to show you is mood selection. So not every place we can have mood selection. Not all the tasks are mood selection enabled, but if you use Ctrl or Shift, you can actually mood select, and you can see here, because I'm mood selecting, the option here in the details is basically gone. But you can have some tasks. If I right click here, you can see here there are some tasks that are mood selection enabled. If I just right click another one, that's a single one, you can see here there are more options available. So not all tasks are mood selection available. Well, this has been a big video because Configuration Manager console is is a big beast. There are so many that we haven't actually seen, and every time we start looking at new features or this extra new feature that or few tasks, we are going to then go deeper inside that node or go deeper inside that workspace and start learning a lot more about those. But that's it for this video. If you like this video, remember to leave your like, share your friends and co-work so everyone start learning more about Configuration Manager. And if you haven't done so already, remember to subscribe to the channel. Leave your click that little bell icon so you will be notified when we upload new content. And also leave your comments. And if you're asking questions, remember to use the hashtag #AskRaphael so it's easy for me to find out. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video.